Hey guys, I'm Colin Wright, and I'm going to answer some questions that have been posited by readers across different social networks and here on YouTube. The first question is from Facebook. Is there anything you've minimized that's been hard to let go of? No, not really. I mean, initially when I first started getting rid of things, this was over 7 years ago when I was out living in LA, and I had a great big townhouse full of stuff. I had like 8 computers and a walk-in closet full of clothes and a great big box full of little tchotchkes and keepsakes and photographs and things that I've been carrying around for ages just because, sentimentality. And initially getting rid of stuff was difficult. Getting rid of some of the photos and old poems that I'd written and things like that, those were the tricky things because I'd convinced myself that they were meaningful in some way. But if you think about it, and when I thought about it, I realized that the meaning wasn't in the objects, the meaning was in me. And I could remember these things. I could take photos of some of the things that I wanted to remember in that way, but it wasn't necessary to carry them around. The object itself had no inherent value to me. And once I recognized that and separated the meaning from the object, then it was really easy getting rid of everything. Particularly once I started getting the ball rolling and I started getting rid of clothes that I had never worn, would never wear, started getting rid of gadgets that were just sitting around that somebody else could make use of. It felt so good to get rid of this stuff that once I started getting rid of it and then found myself with just the stuff that I use and just my favorite of everything and just things that are valuable to me, I felt so light and so capable and so able to go do whatever rather than burdened by all of this stuff I felt the need to protect and pay upkeep on. That, yeah, I mean, getting rid of stuff has not been difficult since then because I remember that feeling because I get to feel it all the time now. And so as a result, the initial stages, I think, for most people is the hard part because you can't imagine what it feels like on the other side yet. Maybe you have an inkling, but you don't really know that feeling of being liberated from this constant need to consume and then to carry stuff with you for the rest of your life. But once you get past that, I think most people, at least from what I've heard from other people as well, most people, once they get a taste of that, then they get it. And then the getting rid of things, you don't tend to regret it. In very rare circumstances, I think people will get rid of something and then realize later, oh, holy crap, that was actually meaningful, like the object itself was meaningful. Or much more commonly, oh, I got rid of that thing, but that was actually integral to something that I enjoy doing. Maybe you get rid of your TV and then realize that playing video games is actually an incredibly important part of your happiness. Like it's something that you love more than anything else. And so when you look at a minimalist lifestyle, one of the core things that's most important to you is playing video games. And now you don't have your TV because you started minimizing before you took the time to figure out what you actually cared about. And so that does happen. That didn't happen to me, but I hear about that every once in a while. And this is why I recommend people take the time to step back and look at the big picture and figure out what's important to them first before they start discarding stuff, before you start chucking stuff in the trash or giving stuff away. Make sure that you're getting rid of the right stuff. That is very important because then what stays behind is the stuff that should fulfill you all by itself, and or it should add to your fulfillment. You should fulfill you, but this stuff should augment your happiness. And if you get rid of something that could be augmenting your happiness, you might regret it. So take that time, put in the time to do the outline, figure out who you are, what you want, and recognize that this could change. You know, your needs and your desires and your wants and your priorities will likely change. So there's a chance that you'll get rid of something that you end up wanting 10 years from now. But banking on that and saying, oh, I might want this 10 years from now is what causes you to just accumulate stuff to begin with. So don't go into it with that attitude that I might need this someday, therefore I should keep it. Just remember that if you do need it someday, chances are the TVs will be much cheaper and cooler in the future anyway. So 10 years from now, if you need a TV, TVs will be much cooler then. They'll be much cheaper, much cooler. They'll probably come in cereal boxes and fold down and fit on a wristband or something. Like, it's going to be super cool. So don't hold on to something now because you might need it someday. That's what leads to hoarding and rampant accumulation, and that's what tends to hold you back in the first place. But for me, no, I thankfully haven't experienced that, and part of it is because what I value most is new experiences and getting to go out and travel and see things and meet people. And so there's very little that I could get rid of that I couldn't replace pretty easily. So here's something that I'm asked pretty much all the time. So many interviews. I do a lot of interviews, and this one comes up in almost every interview. Along with what's your favorite country, I get asked, what does a normal day look like for you? And it's a great question because I live kind of a non-standard lifestyle, so I could see why people would be curious. I think my answer is typically a little bit disappointing though, because I don't have any set of like habits that you could take and then post on Medium or something and say, here's the habits of somebody who travels. My day is different every single place that I go. And everywhere that I go, I do have about 15 to 20 minutes of workout per day. I take 20 minutes of sitting and doing nothing. It's kind of a form of meditation, but mostly just a doing nothing so that my brain can unspiral type of habit. And I tend to not eat breakfast. I usually just do coffee in the morning until the afternoon. I don't drink coffee after 3 typically. I usually eat lunch around 1, and I usually do dinner around 7. But all of these things are totally flexible. And sometimes I discard them completely, sometimes I eat at wildly different times, sometimes I exercise in the middle of the night, sometimes I do it in the morning. Like, it's all completely flexible and malleable based on where I happen to be living, what I happen to be doing, what projects I'm working on, how I'm feeling that day, what time I woke up. I don't usually set an alarm, so if I wake up at 10, it'll be different. My entire day will be different than if I wake up at 6. So everything is so flexible that the only consistency is inconsistency. And I very seldom have a day template that lasts more than a few days in a row, because I tend to flourish when I have new and different influences. And so if I work from the same place every day, if I listen to the same music all the time, if I eat the same thing too frequently, then I tend to fall into kind of a slow mental space. I don't work as efficiently or effectively, and I don't feel as creative, and I don't feel like I'm growing. And so my entire lifestyle, including my typical day, involves keeping everything a little bit atypical. It's a disappointing answer if you're looking for some kind of formula or trick, but God, it really works for me. It makes me so happy to keep things novel and interesting. I hope you liked this video. If you have a question you'd like me to answer in a future video, you can leave it in the comments below. If you enjoyed the answers that I gave here, you can give the video a thumbs up, or you can subscribe to my channel. If you want to find out more about me and my work, you can go to colin.io. And if you want to say howdy to me elsewhere on some other social network, most every place on the internet, I am at Colin is my name.